Hello and welcome into the Fore-All Podcast. I'm Jesse Morrison alongside Max Bechtold. And Max, what a tournament we had over the weekend. The final major of the year, the AIG Women's Open. Just first off, I mean, what a final round. It was super close. It's exactly what you wanted at the end of a major like that. Just what were your takeaways overall just from the tournament?
Yeah, we've had some really after a few kind of lackluster majors, ones where players were kind of running away with it. Nelly Korda really ran away with the Chevron. Um, you know, Yuka Sasso kind of emerged victorious. Then Amy Yang just lapped the entire field at the KPMG. These last two have been great. Ayaka Feway going 5 under on the last 5 holes to win, and now this final round gave you just everything you would want. Terrible weather conditions really added to the drama of it all. You had some of the best players in the world. You had Nelly Korda, Lydia Ko, Lilia Vu, Jie Shin, Roning Yin, all in it. And you never knew who was going to take it. It seemed like every 5 or 10 minutes it kind of switched. It seemed early like Nelly kind of took control, but then that back nine just kind of it's really scary. And so Lydia eventually kind of became clearly the favorite. And of course, Lilia Vu's bad putting down the stretch didn't help her chances. But it's a great winner at a great venue. It was a great tournament, packed with drama. You couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah, and I thought personally that when Nelly was at the top, I was like, she's gonna win. Like as we talked about last week, uh, sometimes even if the course doesn't make sense for the player or whatever, the best player in the world will rise to the occasion. And when she was up there, near the top of the leaderboard, at the top of the leaderboard on Sunday, I was like, okay, so she's just making a move here. She's gonna do it. And then we saw that she faltered a little bit down the stretch. And just overall, what do you think of her performance? And how should she be feeling kind of after uh losing this tournament, which could have really cemented just an incredible year for her. I mean, she already had an incredible year, but getting a second major win in the same year would have been, you know, something even more special than she'd already done.
So the Nelly Korda that we saw over the weekend was much more the Nelly Korda that I was expecting to see coming in. She really played kind of flawless golf the first 2 days, which was really weird and strange. The last 2 days, though, I knew she'd be able to get birdies on this course. It's a shorter course. There's a lot of opportunity. There were greens that she could drive. She could get onto par fives and two. She had a lot of wedges in her hands, but I expected the mistakes to come. I expected with her high ball flight and sometimes not really being the best player in slow pace conditions. I just kind of worried that she'd get herself into some trouble. And of course, we talked about last week putting, putting, putting. How important is putting at St. Andrews? And that's really why I had concerns about Nelly Korda. And it kind of came true over the weekend. She looked so solid with her putter the first 2 days. And I kind of have a little saying with Nelly Korda, where I think she's one of the best birdie putters in the world, but I think she's one of the worst par putters in the world. And that really showed. When she had a birdie putt, she was putting it in the center of the cup with confidence. And then whenever she had a 5 or 6 footer for par, you knew that it wasn't going to go in. Like there was like 3 or 4 where I was sitting there and she was 5 feet from the hole. And I was like, this is a miss. I can already tell. And so a lot of the struggles I expected to see out of her came true over the weekend. That being said, between this and the Olympics, two tournaments that I think she would be pretty disappointed leaving because she put herself into really good position. She needs to take the positives from them because she's back in good form. She finished second at a major. And so I get that she has different standards than everybody else, and she should have different standards, but she still came in second in major. She still put herself into contention last or 2 weeks ago at the Olympics. She's trending upward. Now she's got a long break. She's really not going to play in another tournament, probably other than the Solheim Cup, for at least a month. So she's got a lot of time to really work on her game. And I think she needs to leave encouraged once the sting and disappointment kind of wears off.
And we saw her hanging out at a pub
Yes.
after the
At the Dunvegan, my favorite pub that I've ever been to. It's kind of the famous St. Andrews spot, the kind of spot that you always go after you finish a round. So it's nice to know after a disappointing round that people go even at majors.
Yeah, she might have not been in the greatest headspace, but at least she was able to, pull herself out to, be able to, go and enjoy some fun and maybe have some perspective that, hey, I finished second in a major. But speaking of the person that finished first in the major, Lydia Ko, we after she won the gold medal, on our first episode, we were like, can she win another major? And lo and behold, she wins the next one. Just an absolutely incredible performance by her in her first major, surprisingly, since 2016. Max, just how was she able to close things out?
Yeah, well, first of all, she was a teenager the last time she won a major, which is
Yeah.
crazy to think about, that she had 2 majors as a teenager, then has just gone through all this. I said during that first episode that I thought this kind of set up perfectly. She got a week at the Scottish Open to kind of let the buzz die down, let the outside noise kind of die down. Then she could go get it at St. Andrews. Of course, that even though a player like her who doesn't really place the ball great, which you usually need to do at St. Andrews, I still felt confident about her game because we talked about that putting. And her putter is hot right now, and it was hot on Sunday down the stretch. She was standing over that putt on 18. I was just talking about Nelly with 5 or 6 foot putts, and it's just like, oh, this isn't going in. With Lydia, I was like, this is definitely going in. There's no chance it's not. And that confidence that she has, she really didn't put herself into a lot of trouble. She had that one hole where she kind of put herself into a really weird position, kind of in that really thick rough. She got like kind of a really bad break on that, but she hit a beautiful shot and hit a nice putt afterward. And it's just, it's the Lydia that we talk about where, sure, she may hit the ball all over the place, but she knows how to get herself out of these situations. And that's how she's won 21 times on the LPGA tour, is she just knows how to make something out of nothing. And so, yeah, super impressive. It's kind of impossible to have a better month, I think, than she's having. I kind of half expected her to retire because it's like, how do you top this? Winning the gold medal and then winning the Open at St. Andrews 2 weeks later. Like, how does it get better than that? But yeah, I can't wait to see what she does next, because now she's going to have, about a month off. She's not eligible for Solheim Cup because she's not European or American. But I'll be interested to see, because she's got a lot of momentum right now, and it'll be interesting to see if she can kind of keep that going after the kind of long layoff.
Yeah, I hope she doesn't retire, obviously, because you look at her major championship wins and it's Chevron, AIG Women's Open, and the Evian Championship, which means that she has 3 different wins and 3 different majors, which she could feasibly still win the Women's PGA Championship and US Women's Open. Those would be first time major wins, so she'd have every single major. So if I were her, I'd be trying to
I'd give it a few years, but
yeah, I'd be trying to get those 2. But just overall, the conditions were crazy. They talked about all the time. Everyone just looked cold.
yes,
That was my takeaway from the tournament, is that everyone just looked cold, and it didn't exactly look like the most fun experience out there. It looked more like they were just battling conditions. How do you think that ended up affecting things? Do you think that they would have scored better if that was the case, not the case? Or just what were your thoughts on the conditions?
they definitely would have scored better. I mean, the biggest defense at St. Andrews is possible conditions. If the conditions are perfect, you can actually score pretty well out there. I'm just thinking my own personal kind of account. That was the best score that I had in my entire Scotland trip, was at the Old Course. It's not really the most difficult course all the time. And so the conditions definitely added to it. The wind, especially the first day, was absolutely crazy. It looked like players could barely stand up. There's actually some talk. Would shorter players have an advantage because they're out of the wind more? Like that was like a legitimate talk that the announcers were having. And so the wind was crazy, and then it got really cold over the weekend. You saw a lot of rain, especially on Sunday. You saw rain. It looked flat out miserable on Sunday. I'm kind of impressed how well people played. I turned it on Sunday and was watching for about an hour, and I said, I kind of think this might be one at like 3 or 4 under. Like I think everybody's going over par. It was eventually one at 7 under, but like I thought that players were really going to score bad on Sunday, and they did better than I thought out there. But yeah, the conditions were definitely, you know, if Lydia's story number one, Nelly is story number two, the conditions were certainly story number three of the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just kind of a testament to how good these players have gotten. Um, the weather seems to, conditions seem to affect these players less than they used to, in
Absolutely.
my opinion. Just as far as professional golfers in general, I feel like the scores are a little bit lower across the board than they used to be when conditions would be tough. Um, I wanted to circle back though to the field and everything. Was there anybody that you thought was going to have just an absolutely incredible weekend that didn't, and then vice versa? Was there anybody that had a weekend that kind of surprised you, other than obviously we've talked about Nelly's weekend, but is there anybody that surprised you?
Yeah, for disappointment, Ayaka Feway, I really thought she was gonna have a better week. I picked her as my winner, and she really wasn't a factor at all. So I thought she was gonna have a better week. She's such a good putter. She's such a solid, stable player that I was definitely disappointed with her performance. As far as players playing well, I mean, a lot of the leaderboard outside of Nelly, I wasn't necessarily shocked by. A player like Alexa Pano, who finished top 10, I really didn't think I saw that week out of her. I'm usually pretty high on her because I think she's just so talented and hasn't really shown the results yet. So for her being only 20 years old and in those conditions, playing with Lydia Ko on the final day, like, and to be able to really turn out a solid performance, it kind of surprised me a little bit.
And I also wanted to quickly talk about. I mean, I got the sense. I don't know about you, but I think that Lexi Thompson's never playing this tournament again.
Oh,
That
definitely.
is that is my opinion from the walk up the bridge and then just her
It,
kind of
it's
soaking it in. She's not playing
yeah.
in this event again.
Well, it's the classic thing at St. Andrews. When it's your last open at St. Andrews, you stop on the bridge. That's kind of the thing that they know that, oh, that's the signal that this is your last time doing it. That was what I know Arnold Palmer did, and I know just this week Katrina Matthew did it. So and that was the big talk last time the men's open was there was Tiger didn't stop on the bridge, so that was a signal that he was going to continue playing. So that was kind of the signal to me. I don't really know what the future holds for Lexi. Obviously she's announced her retirement kind of, but she's also kind of left it open that she might play at times still. But it'll be tough to reach a major again just off of how much her world ranking is going to dip if she's not playing full time. But yeah, she was obviously very emotional coming off. She certainly believes this is her last open ever. So yeah, I believe it will be too.
One more player I wanted to bring up because I was impressed with her game. I know she didn't have some. She had some moments of frustration in the final round, and but I think her expectations might have been a little too high for herself, and that is the leading amateur Lottie Woad.
Mm-hmm.
I was very impressed with her, and I think that she could be a star on this tour at some point in her career. I just she looked like she could hang with the rest of the uh the pros up there. I mean, she was close to the top of the leaderboard, which it doesn't happen that much. So I was really impressed with her.
Yeah, absolutely. She's definitely part of the future of European golf and certainly English golf. I really didn't know too much about her before the Augusta National Women's Amateur, which she won. And you look at the Augusta National Women's Amateur. I mean, Rose Zhang has won that. Jennifer Kupcho's won that. There's been good winners that have come to the Pro Tour from that tournament, and she birdied the last 2 holes to win that. And that just showed me so much. Is like, oh, she's you hate to say like the clutch gene, like it's such a cliche, but like she really does have it, and she needs to work. She's still young. She needs to work on not getting so frustrated at times.
Yeah.
You could definitely see in the final round that it was getting to her a little bit, but I think she also recovered a lot of times well from it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was very impressed with her. The last time they said it all the time, of course, during this event, but the last time this tournament was held at St. Andrews, Lydia Ko and Georgia Hall were the low amateurs. Now, of course, both major winners, stars on the LPGA Tour. So I do think that will kind of continue with Lottie Wood.
Yeah, I'm very excited to follow her career.
And
all right,
all of that through having to put up with the loss of the Florida State Seminoles on Saturday, as she's a Florida State player. She's a Florida State golfer, so she had to kind of shake that off and go play.
I'm not sure that she was very locked into what the football team was doing. With the fact that she was playing in a major, I would say that she was more locked in on the fact that she was playing at St. Andrews in a major than what the Seminole football team was doing in Dublin. And I highly doubt that she was able to make it over there in time.
I don't think so, but
and back in time to have an excellent final round in a major. Anyway, we need to move on to the Solheim Cup because the teams are here, and this event is coming up in less than a month. Max, it's your favorite event on the tour. Just overall, who do you think was snubbed? Who do you think are the right picks for this? And yeah, how do you see it going down?
Yeah, so obviously Suzanne Patterson took Georgia Hall, Albane Valenzuela, Emily Pedersen, Anna Nordquist with her captain selections. I kind of think that she missed on one of them, which was Alexandra Forsterling from Germany, also a ASU Sun Devil grad. I think part of the Solheim Cup should be rewarding the best players in the last year or two in the qualifying time, essentially. And Forsterling has won 4 times on the LET, the Ladies European Tour, in the last year. Albane Valenzuela's never won on the LET or LPGA Tour. She did have a good season this year, Valenzuela did. She showed some, high results that she really hadn't shown that much before. She was definitely in play for a selection last year and kind of got snubbed, Valenzuela did. So I think part of this was Suzanne Patterson trying to make it up to her. But I think Georgia Hall was an obvious pick. Emily Pedersen is a player that you can't really complain about because she's been phenomenal in the last 2 Solheim Cups. So even though her weekly results aren't there, she's such a good Solheim Cup player. And Anna Nordquist is like the leader of the team. She's played in 30 Solheim Cups, it seems like, at this point. I just kind of thought that Suzanne Patterson missed a little bit with the pick of Valenzuela over Forsterling, but I have the opportunity to be proven wrong pretty quickly here. So yeah, from Europe, that was kind of my only one. From the United States, Stacey Lewis took Lexi Thompson, which was known by everybody. That was an open secret, kind of. Jennifer Kupcho, who I predicted she would pick just because Kupcho and Allie Ewing pair really well together. They've played in partners tournaments together. They're really good, together, and that's a chance to take advantage of one of your best players. Sarah Schmelzel, I didn't think Stacey Lewis was going to pick her, but I'm a little bit pleasantly surprised. I think Schmelzel has totally earned her spot on this team. She's had 6 top 10 finishes this year. She came so close a couple times to winning. She was in a couple final groups. She had the lead on Sunday a few times. It's, you know, she's had such a good year. I kind of thought Angel Yin was going to be the pick there. Angel Yin's, known as such a great chemistry piece. She's also had a couple really good tournaments in a row, 2 top 10 finishes in her last 2 events. So I thought that was going to kind of push her over the edge. I do think Stacey Lewis just worried about health concerns. Angel Yin had a really bad injury early this season that kept her out for a few months. And I don't know if she's fully 100% yet. It kind of seems by her recent play that she is. But I do think there was some concern there, and that led to Schmelzel eventually getting picked.
And obviously, those players will join the automatic qualifiers for this tournament. Max, the United States holds the lead in this event overall, but they have not won since 2017. 2023, it was tied, but Europe retained it. 2021 and 2019, Europe won. So 2017, was the last time the United States won. Do you think this is the year of the United States, reclaiming this championship?
I think this is probably the deepest squad they've had in a while. Now, that doesn't always matter for Solheim Cup, clearly, because the United States has had the better team on paper every year. I mean, they just have flat out more talent. It's kind of undeniable. The Europeans acknowledge that. They know they're the underdogs every single time they go in. So it's always tough to pick because I do think the Europeans are getting better. I think they're also putting out some of their best teams. I think players like Lynn Grant and Maya Stark have really elevated. And Leona Maguire, of course, who is like the best Solheim Cup player maybe ever already, just through 2 events played in it. So they're really elevating Europe, but I think the United States is elevating as well. And an interesting point that was brought up, because usually it's seen as, just like in the Ryder Cup, the United States are the younger, more talented team, while the Europeans are the more chemistry-based team. They're a little bit more experienced. They have some older players. The interesting thing is there's only one player on the United States team under the age of 26 this year, which is Rose Zhang. So they went a little bit older. You look at the captain's picks. Lexi has played in like 6 Solheim Cups, and Sarah Schmelzel is 30. There's just, it's a little bit of an older team. Kupcho, this will be her 3rd Solheim Cup. So it's getting a little bit older. There's a little bit more experience. The problem is there's not a lot of players who know how to win Solheim Cups on this team. Allison Lee and Lexi Thompson are the only 2 on the team who have won a Solheim Cup. And Allison Lee won it in 2015 when she was still a teenager, and she hasn't played in one since. So it's an interesting roster. There's 3 new players from last time. I think they're generally upgrades. Players like Cheyenne Knight and Danielle Kang were not the strongest. I mean, Cheyenne Knight had a better than expected Solheim Cup, and I was really glad she made it last year, but I do think they have stronger players now with Coughlin and Allison Lee in particular. So I do think that this will be a good chemistry team compared to what we've seen in the past, and they've got all the talent in the world. I mean, they have the 2 top ranked players in the world, and a player like Rose, who would be probably the 2nd best player on the European team. So they have the talent. I think they have the chemistry. They certainly have the experience. They're going to have the home course advantage. I do think it'd be a disappointment if they didn't win. Obviously, it's been a disappointment in the past, but I think this year would be more of one even.
All right. Now we have to move on to a brand new tournament for this year, the FM Championship at TPC Boston, couple local players playing in that. Local meaning that they're from the Boston area. Megan Kang and Alexa Pano.
And just now, I found out recently, Jiu Lin, who just was the bronze medalist at the Olympics, currently resides there. She's not from there, but she currently resides there. So
yeah, the LPGA is going to Boston. 2002, this course opened, designed by Arnold Palmer. What are your expectations for it? Obviously, it's not going to have the biggest, field ever coming off the major, but you've got some good players in there. Former world number one Jin Young Ko, Lexi Thompson's going to be playing in it. Just what do you expect for this tournament? Do you like that they added this tournament to the schedule? I'm pretty just neutral on it, to be completely honest.
yeah, it's a little weird because we've had so many big events recently. It's like we've had the Evian really recently. We've had the Canadian Open, which is always a big tournament. We've had obviously the Olympics and the Scottish Open and the AIG Women's Open. And so it feels kind of like we're going back to normal for a week. And then the Solheim Cup comes up in a couple weeks. Yeah, I love the addition of a Boston tournament because the Boston players, particularly Megan Kang, one of the most popular players on the tour. She's beloved by everybody inside and outside of the ropes. So I think it's kind of cool that she gets to be kind of the de facto host of this week. I know she's throwing out the first pitch at the Red Sox game tonight. But and Alexa Pano literally wears Boston, on her sleeve because she's sponsored by the New England Patriots. Uh, so that's a cool thing also. And I know Ji Lin has like Boston Celtics head covers, so she's all in on it too. I like the addition of this. They used to have a tournament in Boston that was apparently very successful. So I always like when they go to places that are kind of new and kind of unique. I like it when they move it around a little bit. And so, yeah, I'm excited for it. Obviously, again, it doesn't have the strongest field. Some of the best players in the world aren't playing. I don't like the timing of this. I kind of always think, especially for the two European majors, the Evian and the AIG Women's Open, I don't think the LPGA Tour should schedule events the next week in America because I do think it just kind of organically leads to bad fields. I would prefer to have seen this scheduled a week later. You might not get as many Solheim Cup participants, but I do think you'd get some of the better non-American, non-European players playing it. But I'm excited to check it out. I've seen some golf played on TPC Boston, but not enough, and I'm excited to see how it plays. So, yeah, I've played the course on my video games a bunch of times because I know TPC Boston is on one of those golf video games. But I'm excited to see it in action, and I'm excited to see who comes out on top.
And there's going to be a lot of coverage for this event on ESPN Plus. Yeah, what can you tell the listeners about that?
Yeah, so obviously the LPGA and ESPN signed a deal early this season where a certain amount of tournaments would be broadcast on ESPN Plus as well as Peacock. And this week we have, I think it's our third or fourth of the season. I think 8 was supposed to be the number, so I'm expecting a lot at the end of the season to be on it. But yeah, so the coverage begins. These are Eastern times at 8 a.m. on Thursday and Friday and goes till 6:30 p.m. So that's a whole lot of golf. Then on Saturday you have 7:30 to 4:30 and 9:30 to 3:30 on Sunday. Now that's only featured group coverage, so it's only going to cover probably 2 groups at a time. So you're not going to be able to see the whole field, but you will be able to see a lot more golf than on a normal week for the LPGA Tour, which I think is very exciting. I think this has been pretty successful in the past. We'll have to see how good the groups are this week because I know once it was for the Chevron, which obviously had a great field, so you could show a bunch of superstars in the coverage. I don't know what the case will be this week, but anytime you get those kind of hours, we're on a really good run for TV times when you look at how many hours the Evian got, how many hours the Olympics got, how many hours the Scottish Open got, and the AIG Women's Open. And that just continues this week. And it will continue with the Solheim Cup too, which has great hours also.
And something that we've talked about, not on this episode or not on the podcast, but off the podcast, is kind of how, say what you want to say about ESPN, but their LPGA coverage, they give it a lot more time than, your Golf Channel and your Peacock and those the traditional homes of the tour. ESPN's out here basically with the full day, and yes, it's only featured groups, but you're seeing more of an investment from their end than you are from NBC.
Certainly at times, yeah. I do think that the NBC family is doing a lot better. I think they're getting better at it. I think the Peacock hours have been pretty good this year. We're getting a solid 4 hours a lot of weeks of coverage, which is a good step forward. Obviously, you'd like a little bit more, but yeah, ESPN has been a great shot in the arm, kind of, to get some more hours, get some more eyeballs on it. Obviously, Peacock, I love Peacock. Peacock is invaluable for me as an LPGA watcher, but not a lot of people necessarily have it. But a lot of people do have ESPN Plus, and so I think it just gives an opportunity for more eyeballs on it.
I found out today that I have Peacock.
There you go.
I looked at my bank statement and I was like, oh yeah, I bought this for the Olympics and forgot to cancel it. So guess what? I will be able to watch more. That I bought it before I knew I was going to be doing this podcast. So, maybe it's a good thing that I forgot. So I'll definitely be using Peacock to watch the LPGA. Max, anything that people should know that is up on the website right now? That is Fore-All.com, FORE dash all.com. Anything that people should know or go and read right now?
Yeah, so Solheim Cup coverage just beginning now, obviously, since teams are locked in. Really, the thing that I launched my site with last year was ranking every player in the Solheim Cup, and I'm starting that up beginning next Monday. So all 24 players in the Solheim Cup will be ranked. There'll be a different article for each where I'll kind of go through their seasons and kind of their careers, give a little background, let you meet them. So I'm very kind of excited to get that going. Today I posted about different pairings that I could see the captains taking advantage of for the United States. My Europe one goes up tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. And then obviously going to be coverage of the FM Championship this week.
All right, everyone, go check that out. That'll do it for this week's episode, and we will talk to you soon.